2 years ago, I was driving to a nightclub and I was going to meet up with some of my guy friends to party because Saturday night were always for the boys. We would do this about every Saturday, unless one of us was too busy for that night. I had fun every time I went, but to be honest, I would sometimes feel pressured to go. That Saturday, I stayed most of the daytime at my grandparents' house, which was not too far from where I lived. After I finished staying there, I went home, and when I got home, I showered and got dressed into some nicer clothes. After I did that, I put on socks and fancy shoes, grabbed my phone, wallet, car keys, and walked out of the front door and got in my car, and I drove away. What I didn't know is that it would be my last time ever driving a car. The nearest highway from my house was only about 5 minutes away. About 15 to 20 minutes on the highway while I was driving, and it was about 70 miles per hour. I saw a police car facing the opposite way on the left lane from where I was driving. My first initial thought was that he was looking to give people some tickets if they were going way above the speed limit. And I wish that was the case, but it wasn't. I didn't see what was on the ground since I was driving in an SUV. I kept driving, then all of a sudden I felt the car hit something really thick and heavy. I didn't realize that I ran over a person. The car started to slow down and I started to press on the brake. I then moved on the side of the road and put my hazard on. When I got to the side, I completely stopped the car. And right there, I started to have a mental breakdown. I started screaming and crying, knowing that I probably killed someone, but not on purpose. I actually wanted to get out of my car or even drive back to see if the person was all right, but that would be impossible to do because there were so many cars coming. I then called 911 and connected to an operator, and I told them what happened. And the operator said that they already knew because an officer was radioing what happened. I then asked if I could meet them at the police station, and the operator said sure. I got to the station like 10 minutes later and I was panicking the whole way there. I went inside and I had to fill out a form describing the incident. After that, I handed the form over to the woman at the front desk, and after I did that, she said that the department will keep in touch with me over the next week, starting tomorrow. I told her okay and I left the station. I took out my phone to see a lot of unread messages and some missed phone calls from my friends. They're probably waiting for me at the club. I called one of my friends whose name was Bob, and I told Bob that I'm not coming, and I told him why. He sounded shocked on the phone and asked if I was all right. I told him that I wasn't in my right mind and that I needed to stay at home for a few days. He sounded disappointed, but he was also understanding. I got home and I immediately crashed out on my bed. Over that next entire week, I learned that the victim's name was Brent Thompson and he was 28 years old. He got pulled over because an officer ran his tags and realized that his registration was expired. When the officer asked him questions, Brent gave a fake name, and then the officer found out that he was lying. He turned to confront Brent, and that's when he made a big mistake. He fled the officer and then jumped onto the interstate that I was driving on, and that's when the officer tased him, and Brent fell to the ground. Seconds later, I ran Brent over. I didn't see him on the ground, nor did I see the officer on the side lane, as it was pretty dark outside and I was going really fast. Sadly, Brent did not survive being hit, and his family filed a lawsuit against the officer in the department who was actually a deputy, and his name was Lorenzo Lawan. The district attorney determined that his actions were lawful and he was not charged for what he did. I wasn't charged or fined either. I've never driven a car again due to the traumatic experience of that fateful night. And now I just book an Uber, or I have my friends drive me wherever I go.